So, did you know that women who go to the emergency room with chest pain wait 29% longer than men to be evaluated for a possible heart attack? Well, that is from a report in the Journal of the American Heart Association. And it is just one of many studies showing that when women express pain or discomfort, they are less likely to be taken seriously or given effective treatment than men. So let's talk about it with Dr. Megan Ranney, emergency physician and deputy dean of public health at Brown University. Dr. Ranney, how do you see this play out in your ER?
So I don't find this study surprising at all, unfortunately, Pamela. Listen, if I go back to when I went to med school 20 years ago, I didn't learn anything about the differences between how women and men experience disease, how we metabolize medications, what sort of symptoms we have. The only thing I learned about that was different was about our reproductive organs. So you have a generation of physicians, nurses, physician assistants who don't know that women and men have different symptoms. You also have a lot of women who aren't aware themselves of the way in which we present differently with common diseases like heart disease, but also cancer, skin diseases, and a lot of other common problems as well. So the problems both on the medical side and unfortunately on the patient side due to lack of recognition of what ails us.
The Washington Post quotes a study showing that middle-aged women with chest pain and other symptoms of heart disease, they were twice as likely to be diagnosed with a mental illness compared with men who had the exact same symptoms. I mean, this thinking is so antiquated yet pervasive. Why else do you think?
So I think there are two big reasons. The first is it wasn't until the mid-1990s that national research was required to include women. In fact, women were systematically excluded from research prior to that because people were afraid about hurting our childbearing potential. So we literally had no data on things like how heart disease presents differently in women or how to treat it differently. The second thing is, honestly, there weren't a lot of women doctors. It was only in 2017 that the number of women and men became equal in medical school classes. Of course, there are still huge disparities for minorities. And we know that women take better care of other women. There weren't folks out there advocating for the way in which our experiences are different and insisting on studying it or making sure we were treated appropriately.
Wow, that's just stunning. The years that you just put out, 2017, it wasn't until then that there was an equal number of men and women. We're not even talking about the racial disparities. What is concerning is that this kind of bias can lead to a delayed or misdiagnosis in a serious condition. Our own Jake Tapper's daughter had a very close call with appendicitis last year.
I started throwing up on a Saturday morning and I got really sick. I was just not getting better, so my parents took me to go into the hospital.
Most likely diagnosis at the time, stomach pains, possible food poisoning, gastroenteritis. Jennifer was particularly worried about appendicitis.
I said, this is on Monday, and I said, why don't you just give her a sonogram? She has so much going on down there. She's in so much pain. Let's just see what it is, because we don't know. And they looked at me, and the doctor said, that data's not needed.
That data's not needed.
We don't need that data.
By the time doctors figured out it was appendicitis, her appendix had already ruptured and she had sepsis. Recovery took months. And I just want to make clear, look, the doctors that I know, they're amazing, right? They work really hard and they do a very good job. But that doesn't take away issues like this, right?
No, it's inexcusable what happened to Alice and what Jake and Jennifer had to go through. And it is also emblematic of a systematic problem, right? So it is both about the knowledge, it is about the bias, it is also about the system. These errors don't happen in a vacuum. It's a Swiss cheese of errors that led to that misdiagnosis. It was Alice's mom not getting listened to. It was Alice herself not getting listened to. It was the fact that this happened during COVID with insufficient staffing. We don't have enough resources to do imaging. And so people are always cutting corners. It's that combination of problems that makes this happen, but that doesn't mean we should accept it. As a mom myself, my goodness, that story hurts my soul.
Me too.
But I also have kept it in mind. actually say, Pamela, that I have diagnosed a few young women with appendicitis, keeping Alice's story in mind. I've known about it for a few months now. And I think that's part of it. It's just the awareness that this happens.
Yeah, and the fact that I'm learning a lot about this through Jake's story, but the doctors were focused on one symptom of appendicitis when in fact there are other telltale signs that it could be appendicitis, even though it doesn't fit into the typical box. So this is really raising awareness too on that front. Dr. Megan Randy, great conversation. Thank you.